Gate agent blocks black twins from boarding early. Then their dad shows up as airline VP. He used to treat me like I was nothing, just another face in a crowded airport. But on that day, my twin children, Zoe and Malik, served as more than just a reminder of my own past. They embodied innocence standing against an all-too-real bias. The bustling atmosphere of Dallas Airport shifted when they approached the gate with excitement, the promise of Grandma's hugs brightening their eyes. Instead, they faced the cold dismissal of Sharon, the gate agent, whose lack of empathy cut deeper than any parent would dare to imagine. The moment stung. I wasn't there to wrap them in reassurance. I couldn't shield them from this unwarranted cruelty. Malik's reluctant tears were mirrored by Zoe's brave facade, both of them caught in a web of unjust authority. Thankfully, one bystander, Jennifer, mirrored my concern. Though most turned away, she stood witness, proving that not everyone remains silent in the face of discrimination. Finishing my meeting early, I sensed something amiss. As I read their defeated expressions, an anger ignited within me. Confronting Sharon felt imperative. "I'm the VP of this airline," I said, my voice steady yet charged. Watching her defenses crumble as I demanded an explanation was cathartic, exposing the fragile bubble of her authority. Moments later, I secured front row seats for my twins, erasing the earlier humiliation. As I settled in beside them, our shared joy filled the space, a testament to resilience against a harsh world. Weeks later, a letter from Jennifer sparked hope. Her advocacy blossomed from witnessing a critical moment. Collectively, we shift the narrative, reminding ourselves and others. The small acts of courage can ripple beyond one instance, urging a community to stand united against injustice. Gate agent blocks black twins from boarding early, then their dad shows up as airline VP. "Excuse me? We're supposed to board now?" Zoe said, her voice steady, but her hands trembled slightly. Sharon, the gate agent, adjusted her glasses and glanced down the line of passengers. "Not the unaccompanied minors. You can wait until the rest board." "For pre-boarding?" Malik pleaded, biting his lip to hold back tears, his gaze darting toward the busy crowd. "That's not how it works," Sharon snapped, crossing her arms defiantly. "Policy is policy. Next!" Zoe's shoulders slumped as she turned to Malik. "It's okay, we'll wait," she whispered, trying to sound brave, but both felt the weight of Sharon's dismissive gaze like a cold hand on their backs. A woman in line, Jennifer, stepped forward, brow furrowed. "Excuse me, is there a reason you're treating them this way? They're just kids." Sharon barely glanced at her, rolling her eyes. "You can't just interrupt. If the rules don't apply, we have chaos." In a fleeting moment, Zoe and Malik felt like accessories to chaos, standing alone against the walls as the world rushed past them. "Dad will be here soon," Malik choked out, clenching his fists. Then through the throng of travelers, their father appeared, urgency etched in his features. "What happened? Why are you both upset?" And as he learned of Sharon's arrogance, his demeanor shifted. "Ma'am, I'm the VP of this airline." The air thickened, a palpable shift in authority. "What grounds do you have for denying my children their boarding rights?" Sexual's face paled. I was just following protocols." Proto-fury simmering. "Your protocols are built on prejudice. You could have sent them along without disrupting anyone, yet you chose to humiliate them." Malik flinched, the tears finally spilling. Zoe squeezed her brother's hand tighter, a tiny fortress of hope. "I bring them to first class," he commanded, voice resolute. "Now." As Sharon stammered an apology, the supervisor arrived, her face clouded with confusion at the scene. "Let's not make a scene," she offered weakly, but the damage was done. Zoe and Malik exchanged glances, hearts racing. Moments later, sitting in first class, the world faded to a distant roar. Their father smiled at them, brushing back his anger. "You two are brave. Never let anyone tell you different." As they settled in, Zoe whispered, "Dad, are we okay?" "More than okay. It's our job to stand up for each other," he replied, a quiet determination in his voice as he held them close. Jennifer later reached out, inspired. "I couldn't believe what I saw. Your strength is a reminder we all need to speak up." "Let's make sure we do," he thought, filled with hope that together they could champion change. A cacophony of voices filled the Dallas airport as travelers scurried to their gates. Joe and Malik, bright-eyed and eager, clutched their boarding passes, inching closer to the gate where anticipation danced in the air. Their father had assured them that Grandma was waiting, ready to shower them with love and treats. But as they approached the counter, the cheerfulness faded into confusion. "Sorry, kids, you'll need to wait," Sharon, the gate agent, declared with an icy tone, her eyes barely meeting theirs. Malik's face fell, and he blinked back tears, while Zoe straightened her shoulders, trying to muster strength. Watching from a distance, their father felt the heat rising in his chest while attending his meeting. Something was off, an instinct whispering that his children's smile had dimmed. When he finally emerged, the sight of their defeated expressions tightened every muscle in his body. "Excuse me," he spoke, voice steadier than he felt. Confrontation tinged the air as Sharon met his gaze. "I'm the VP of this airline. Explain this behavior now." He's a time cleanse. The atmosphere shifted, tension thickening with each passing second. Sharon floundered for words, her defensiveness palpable. Malik's little fingers gripped Zoe's tightly, quivering as silence wrapped around them. "Kids in this position deserve kindness, not dismissiveness. You don't realize the impact of your authority." The weight of his words lingered as the supervisor arrived, the stakes rising. He didn't just stand for Zoe and Malik. He stood for every child subjected to similar disrespect. With a swift negotiation, they were suddenly upgraded to first class, an immediate victory, yet the fight felt far from over. As they settled in, the father's heart swelled with pride, but also with the knowledge that this could happen again to other families, in a world too often blind to inequity. The airport buzzed around them, but all Zoe and Malik could feel was disappointment. The gate agent, Sharon, had just dismissed their request to board early, her tone laced with indifference as she turned to the next passenger. Malik blinked back tears while Zoe clenched her fists, their excitement evaporating into the air. "Why won't she let us board?" Zoe whispered, trying to sound brave. "Maybe because we're kids," Malik replied, voice trembling. Their father, a few gates away reviewing documents, felt a knot tighten in his stomach as a troubling sense of unease washed over him. Sensing something was amiss, he abandoned his meeting and rushed over. The sight of his twins' crushed spirits ignited a flame within him. "Excuse me," he said, voice steady but filled with authority. "I'm the vice president of this airline. I need to understand why my children were treated this way." Sharon's face paled. They didn't follow the rules. Punished. "They are unaccompanied minors. They should have been prioritized, especially in a public space," he countered, raising an eyebrow. "Do you treat all children like this?" As the supervisor arrived, the tension thickened. Zoe leaned into Malik, encouraged by her father's confidence. "We just wanted to get on the plane so we could see Grandma," she quietly added, her voice firm. "I'm moving them to first class," he snapped decisively, seeing relief wash over his kids. "It's the least we can do after this experience." Moments later, nestled comfortably in their upgraded seats, Zoe and Malik exchanged glances filled with pride. Their father's heart swelled with newfound courage. Today was a small victory not just for their family, but for all kids facing unfair treatment. Stabilized Dallas Airport buzzes with a mix of laughter and anxiety. Zoe and Malik, bright-eyed and eager, approach the gate, proudly displaying their boarding passes. Their father, a dedicated airline VP, is still in a meeting. Just as the twins step forward to check in, Sharon, the gate agent, snaps at them. "Unaccompanied minors don't board yet," she states coldly, dismissive of their excitement. Malik's eyes fill with disappointment, while Zoe, swallowing her tears, clings tightly to her brother. The weight of injustice hangs heavily in the air, thickening around the twins. Nearby, Jennifer, a fellow traveler, watches the scene unfold, her heart aching for the children. But as most passengers remain silent, she feels powerless to intervene. Minutes stretch like hours before their father bursts into view, sensing something is off. The moment he spots Zoe and Malik, the joy in his eyes turns to concern. Approaching Sharon, he squares his shoulders. "I'm their father. I'm also VP of this airline." Plager crackles, an invisible pulse that escalates between them. Sharon's bravado falters, her eyes darting uneasily. With each word, the father unravels the fabric of her authority, laying bare the discriminatory undertones of her actions. He doesn't raise his voice. His tone is calm yet fierce, reverberating with an unwavering conviction that summons attention. Just then, Sharon's supervisor arrives, and the air shifts, electrified by accountability. The father stands resolute, advocating not just for his children, but for the dignity and respect all children deserve. With a wave of newfound authority, he secures a move to first class for Zoe and Malik, their spirits lifting like the aircraft they will soon board. They beam with relief, settling into cushioned seats, their father's presence a shield against a harsh world. Meanwhile, Sharon, revealed as the architect of this small tragedy, shrinks under scrutiny, her power rightly questioned. As the father wraps an arm around his twins, a wave of silent triumph washes over him, crafting a moment of victory not just for them, but for all who face injustice. Weeks later, a letter from Jennifer arrives, claiming inspiration from his steadfastness. Together, one instance becomes a movement. A message of solidarity against discrimination lingers in the air. The father smiles, knowing that change begins with standing up, fostering hope for a kinder future. As I sat with Zoe and Malik after the chaos at the gate, I felt an overwhelming relief wash over me. In that moment, pride mingled with pain. My heart ached for the moments they had to endure shame that no child should face. I realized their resilience, the strength they carry, yet I couldn't help but wonder, was my response the ultimate lesson in advocacy, or did I risk becoming a different kind of bully? In First Class reminded me that sometimes the loudest voices are those that refuse to go unnoticed. I thought about Sharon, the gate agent, and what her story was. Did she even know the weight of her words? In hindsight, I'm grateful for the confrontation, for it taught me more than just the fight against injustice. So I ask you, have you ever watched someone you care about be treated unfairly? What did you do in that moment? I invite you to share your stories and reflections. Let's discuss the gray areas of right and wrong in our society. Your voice matters. Let's use it to uncover the strength we hold together.